My young love said to me, my mother won't mind, and my father won't spite you for your lack of kind. And she stepped away from me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. She stepped away from me, and she moved through the fair, and fondly I watched her go here and go there, and she went her way homeward with one star away, as the swan in the evening moved over the lake.
Get out of my way.
You're always so angry.
Caledonia, get back here.
Looking straight at the camera when it came on. I can hear myself, I think, oh, let me turn that mic down a little bit. That's a wee bit loud, I think, there. How's that? Can everybody hear me? Can everybody see me? I can't see myself on that screen, which is a bit disconcerting. Let me, oh, it's got a big playing on it. Oh my God. That's my other screen. This whole thing's weird. Right, okay, there we go. Let me catch up with myself. Think I'm caught up with myself, but I'm going to turn myself off and bring my agenda up. Right, can everybody hear me and see me? Aye. All good. Jim, thanks very much. Right, I'll do a few hellos before I get to my little agenda tonight, right? And then I'll talk to you about my health. Right, a few questions have come up anyway. Right, so we had, oh, Jim was in. Oh, there you go, Jim, that was hours ago. That was at least 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours ago you were in. Rose signed on and was waiting and waving. I don't know if she's back in now or not. Dookie was next. Dookie came in about an hour and a half ago, just to park himself there in third spot. Right, oh, we've got Stravinsky music. Right, Stravinsky music. I don't recognise that name. I don't remember it. She said you just bought your Mini 2 on Friday, so you've watched a lot of my videos in the last few days. Thanks very much. You can watch them again and again. No, thanks. I hope they're helpful to you. The whole idea of my channel was that I bought a drone a year and a half ago when we went into lockdown, or 2 years ago. Whenever we went into lockdown and I couldn't play with my band anymore, and I needed something to kind of fill my spare time with. So I bought a drone and I thought, you know what, as I learn to fly this thing, I'm going to vlog it. I'll just take videos of it, and I'll make myself a YouTube channel, which I'd never done in my life before, and put them up. So pretty much people who bought the Mini 2 along with me, who had a drone for the first time, were learning along with me, or I was learning along with everyone else, which was it's quite interesting. Anyway, right, so there you go. Cut a long story short. Right, John Wheatley was waiting for me. He's waiting for me. He's waiting for you, Bob Bag. Waiting for you, you wee fanny. Okay, in we are. Right, and John then said he's well impressed with the Mini 3 optical avoidance. Optical avoidance, obstacle avoidance. John, it is amazing. When I first tried it out, I couldn't believe it. Although it only has, it's got downward sensors, it's got backward sensors, and it's got front sensors. It doesn't have side sensors, but it seems like it does have all round sensors, because as you saw on one of my videos when I did the obstacle avoidance check, I was walking up under branches and round trees, and it just seemed to be following me around everywhere. It was even moving sideways, and it seemed to be missing. Well, it did miss all the obstacles, so it doesn't have sideways sensors, but I think the configuration of the way the sensors are, it covers a lot more area than you would think. Right, so there's Jim says, evening Jim, how you doing? Drone shots, hello Robert, he says, and hello back to you, drone shots. Derek's down a countdown, 3, 2, 1, with the Thunderbirds are go. That's the other show. That's that's the show that goes that way. That's the Drone Seekers International. They're the 3, 2 winners, no me. Right, John's asking, how's my wife and myself? Right, my wife is great. Jay's good as gold. She recovered ages ago. I don't want to sound like a moaning grumpy old idiot, but I'm telling you what, I'm not. I'm doing okay some days, and some days randomly I'm not. In fact, is there a doctor in there? Now look at this eye. I can't see out of this eye. Right, have a look in there. Can anybody see anything in that eye? Does that look? Is there anything strange with that eye? Because I can see out of it, but everything's off really fuzzy. That one's okay. That one's no, it's the other way about. Check that eye. It's that one. It's fuzzy. Oh, forget it. Okay, right. So I'm doing okay. I wasn't doing too well after the live stream last week. Although I was doing okay in the Sunday night during the live stream. I didn't feel too well after it, and the next day I was feeling terrible. I went to the doctors, and the doctor looked at me and did a few tests and things, and said, "Look, you need some serious rest." Signed me off work for 3 weeks. And I'd already been off for 3 weeks, so I'm now in. I've still got 2 weeks off work to try and recover, but I've got aches and pains and blah 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 blah. So there you go, John. I bet you're sorry you asked now. Right? I'm doing okay some days. Some days I'm not doing okay. It's very strange. Anyway, right. So a few more hellos before we get to my agenda. There's Ian says, "Oi oi oi oi." Is that a landing thing? Do you? You've already said hello, do you? Right, Silas Seeger. Are you any relation to Bob? Is that your uncle, nephew, brother? So, hi Silas, how you doing? SJC Steve from sunny Ipswich on board. Aye, it's been quite sunny today outside apparently. I haven't been out. I was out yesterday making that wee film about the firmware update, which I'll talk about in a minute or two. But apparently it's really nice and warm out there today. Oh my god. There's been a lot of chat come in while I've been scrolled up, so I'll say a few more hellos. Hello Lynn. Hi Barry. I'm back in dry land. Quite an adventure. Aye, it was. There's someone mentioned in the comments said, just imagine it had started raining when you're out there, and that kind of hit me a wee bit. And yeah, if it had started raining while I was out in the middle of that blanket bog, things could have been. I might not have been here talking to you just now, because it was a dry, nice summer day, and it was bad enough then. So just imagine it had been, it's a nice. So I'm going to. The thing is, I didn't purposely go out into the middle of nowhere, the middle of a blanket bog with no provisions, no plan, no. Well, I did with no provisions, no plan, no safety equipment. But I hadn't intended to do that. As I've said in a few of the comments, I honestly believe, because of what the map was telling me, I honestly believed that Lassie was only about 300 metres away from where I had parked the car. But I wasn't reading the map wrong, but I was switching between Google Maps, which for some reason was telling me where my drone was, and the Find My Drone app. And the Google Maps was telling me it was 300 metres to the end of the road. Right, but I was somehow, in my addled brain, was seeing that as 300 metres to my drone. So when I left the car, I had a bag full. I carry a bag full of provisions, hiking gear, warm clothing, water, chocolate, things like that. And I've got a wee survival kit from my army days. Carry all that with me, spare batteries too. And I just normally put my backpack on and go. But the reason I didn't this time is because I thought, well, if it's only 300 metres away, I'll be out there 5-10 minutes, retrieve her and come back. And when I got to the 300 metre point, she wasn't there. I thought, well, she must be just a little bit further on. And then a little bit more further on. And you know how it goes, you end up, well, you saw where I ended up, but it was not my intention to be out there with no provisions. And I won't be doing that again. That was a bit silly, let's say. All right. So, Barry, I'm glad I'm back here as well. Right, Cyril, good evening. Well done on retrieving Lassie. Thanks very much, Cyril. There was no way I was not going to retrieve her. If you've watched one of my very old videos where I did abandon her on Loudon Hill, I don't feel guilty about that anymore. My guilt has been assuaged. I have atoned for that abandonment, and I feel okay now. So I'm quite pleased at that. Right, okay. Let me get through a few more. Yeah, Jason, I shared on Google Maps. I'm sure a lot of you probably know this, but on Google Maps, you can share your location, share your route and things with anyone you want to. So when I asked my wife to come to get me, I shared where I was and where I was walking with her, because it was a kind of a tiny wee back farm road that was really, really difficult to find by looking on the map. So I shared that with her and she found it and came and got me. It saved me a good 2 miles, 1.75 miles walk. So yeah, very pleased with that. It just says in the FPV community, when we talk about flying at range, we simply say fly as far as you're willing to walk, just in case. I'm willing to walk as far as the drone is. You know, if the drone has gone as far as it goes and crashes, I will walk that distance. So I don't say, well, I'm only going to walk a kilometre, so that's all I'm going to fly. I'll walk as far as I need to, and I'm sure a lot of us would too. Right, so we're nearly there. There's Rose saying hello. Hi Rose, how you doing? Happy Sunday, God bless you too. And there's Tura67. Tura67, that's a kind of new name for me. If you've been on here before and I haven't mentioned your name, I'm mentioning you now. So evening to you too. Right, oh, here we go. Right, oh, Alba for the air. I'm well. Good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Just had to switch the F1 highlights off to watch yourself. You had to switch something off to watch me. Are you mad? Just pause it. It's just waffle anyway. I'll just turn me down and watch it. Anyway, right. So we're nearly there. He's alive. Right. George says he's alive. I am. I'm alive. Barely, but I am. Peter, I haven't spoken to you for a wee while. How you doing, pal? How you doing with your bikes? Are the e-bikes still going well? I haven't spoken to you for a wee while. Welsh lad, thanks very much for your sub. I saw you subbing just before we went live, maybe half an hour before we went live. So thanks very much for that. Frozen. I froze. Did I freeze? Oh, and I hope I'm back now. I hope I'm not frozen now. Right. Okay. Anyway, let's get right through. Right. There's Graham in. Sounding better tonight. I feel okay. I wasn't feeling too good earlier on. I feel okay now. It's up and down. It's all over the place, Graham. I never know from 1 hour to the next how I'm going to be. I can be feeling, and then suddenly just be like, oh my God. And just, it's like that. It's crazy. For anyone else who's had COVID and is suffering the same conditions, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's just like, you don't know where you are. Right, Caroline, hi, how you doing? I'm going to have to move to my agenda because that's nearly 12 minutes past and I'm still saying hello Stevie. Angel Boo Star, hi, how you doing? Hi everyone there, say hello to Angel Boo Star. Right, possibly diabetes type 2. What are you talking about? Me? Am I that fat? I don't know. You think so? I don't know. I haven't had any of those, what do you call them? Epoxy. I don't ken. They fit you off. Anyway, right, okay. Jim, it was you that froze. Good. I thought it was me that froze there when you were saying it. Right. Popeye, I'm thinking you're right. I don't know yet. It's my eyes are funny. That one's... It's actually a bit better now. It's a bit better than it was earlier. This morning, and right through for about 4 hours, I couldn't see anything with it. It was just all blurry. All right, there's thousands and thousands of hellos. I'm going to have to skip through a lot of you. I'm sorry about that. But we'll get some questions. Rod Gunn is asking, do you recommend the Mini 2 update? Here's the thing, Rod. I'll tell you a story after I give you an answer, right? If this is your first time here, you'll get to know that I do waffle on a bit, right? The answer to that question is that if your drone is doing everything that you need it to do and it's not causing you any problems, then don't update. There's no need for it. If your drone is causing you problems, there's some things not happening or it's a bit quirky, then do an update. Also, if an update comes out that has some features that you don't currently have and you want to have those features, then update. Here's a wee story. For months, about 6 months, I didn't update. I was running a really, really old bit of firmware. Can't even remember what number it was, 1.2.4 or something, I can't remember. And it was perfect. Everything was running really well. I had no problems. I had a great signal strength. I mean, I was going out to... and I was getting a fantastic signal strength with it. No issues, no problems at all. While everyone else was not everyone, most other people were updating their firmware regularly and were having issues and problems, and this wasn't working, and now that didn't work, and this didn't work. And I kind of wasn't getting any of that. When I got my Mini 3, I wanted to do a video testing the Mini 3 with the RCN1 from the Mini 2 controller. So I wanted to switch between the two. And to do that, I had to update to the latest firmware to allow me to do that. So I updated, and I've had nothing but problems since then, to be honest with you, one way or another. So I don't recommend updating the firmware unless you're having problems or there's a feature comes out that you want and you don't have it, like I said. Right, I was going to say something else there. Here, come on, brain. Keep up. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. Right, do you say, it sounds like your body needs a firmware update. I don't know. My body needs a time machine, I think, to get back, right? Okay, right, so I'm going to have to move to my agenda because that's 1:15. I've got a couple of wee things I want to speak about. Okay, right, so... Okay, we'll just say there. Richard first of all says, enjoyed your video looking for Lassie. Thanks. I didn't know what to do with that video, Richard, to be honest with you, when I made it, because advice that I had been given by oh God, what are they called now? vidIQ, the vidIQ team, when they reviewed my channel at random, they just pulled my name out of a hat and reviewed my channel. And on advice from them, it was not to just to stick excuse me, to stick with drone videos and not put anything else on the channel. Now, when I went to retrieve Lassie, it wasn't really a drone video. It had been a drone video in part 1, but part 2, there was a bit of drone footage now that I think about. No, there wasn't. There was no drone footage in the second part. So I kind of didn't know what to do with it, and I thought at first I was going to put it up in the members section only, and then for anyone else who wanted to see it, I would provide a link to them. And then Caroline said, why don't you just put a link in the description box? So I thought, yeah, that was a good idea. But then I thought, oh, you know what? I'm just going to put it up, because a lot of people had said to me, we want to see that. We want to see you getting back out of the blanket ball. Don't give us half a story. We want to see you getting back. So I thought, to hang with it, I'll just do it. So I did it, and it seems to have been. It's not doing really well on my channel. None of my videos do particularly well anyway, except the freak one. But it's doing okay. So there you are. So that's the answer to that. Right. Okay, Mark's asking here. I'll get to my agenda in a minute, but there are questions, and I do like to answer questions as much as I can. And I don't always give the right answers. I just kind of give my opinion, right? But Mark says, what if you have DJI Care Refresh? I always update just so DJI can't use that as a denial if something happens. You make a good point, or at least you make an interesting point there, Mark. I never considered that. That may be something that you do have to consider. I wonder how that would go if you had Care Refresh, but you were like 3 or 4 updates behind, and you tried to cash in your Care Refresh. What would DJI say? It's a good question. It's personally, if you want my own opinion, what would I do? I still wouldn't update. And if I had a crash and Lassie got broken and I wanted to get it repaired, and I was 4 or 5 updates behind, I would still contact DJI and tell them I wanted to use my care refresh. I don't think they'd have much of an argument to say no, but you never know. It's a good point, interesting point you make there, Mark. Right, so any more questions just before I get to my agenda? I'm starting to lose my voice. Right, okay. So the agenda point 1, COVID update, right? I've just given you, excuse me. Sorry about that. So giving you the COVID update, so we can move on to point 2. Point 2, I've got down here, all I've written is ospreys. I don't know why. I think I do know why. Right, I wanted to talk a little bit about ospreys, right? And let me bring this thing up. Right, there's an interesting website. I'm going to bring it up onto my screen just now. For anyone who intends to travel to Scotland, or for anyone who lives in Scotland and wants to know about the rules or the law regarding where can you go, where can you wander. Our laws in Scotland are different from England and Wales and Northern Ireland, in as much as we have the Land Reform Act Scotland, 2003, that made a big change to the laws about being out in the countryside and being basically walking anywhere you want. And in Scotland, you can walk anywhere you want across private lands. You can go. There's no there is trespassing in Scotland, but you can walk on private land, right? You can pretty much go anywhere you like. The only places you can't go are like into places where you'd be paying. Schools, military establishments, domiciles, that means into people's houses, and gardens. You can't go to people's gardens, right? But anywhere else you can go, right? Private land that is not under those categories, you can go. Now, there's a great website, and I'll bring it up now, called, there you go, Nature Scot, right? And it'll tell you on there, it will give you, in fact, I think I might even, right, there's the, if you look on that website, there's the access rights in Scotland, right? And it lists them there. Now, you wonder, why am I telling you this? What's it got to do with drones? I'll come to that in a wee second, right? So it tells you where you can go in Scotland, right? And what you can do. And you can go pretty much, where are we going, right? You can go pretty much anywhere you like. You can read that up if you want, right? As far as drones go as well, that includes your drone. You can fly your drone as well, right? The only thing you can't do is any place that you are not allowed to wander freely, and private land, you operate a motorised vehicle without permission, right? And that's why the National Trust for Scotland and other places, private land, can say you're not coming onto my land and flying a drone. You can go onto the land, they can't stop you. In Scotland, you can go onto land. But if they tell you, please bring that drone down, I don't want you taking off a landing, apart from this time, from my property, you have to do that. They can't then say, get off my land, Scotland. No, I'm just going to stay. And in fact, I'm going to pitch a tent and park myself, because you can pitch a tent anywhere, like even on private land, providing it's not right at the edge of someone's garden, right? And it's not impinging their privacy from their garden or their house. You can pitch a tent on private land, providing you're responsible and providing you leave nothing there when you go, you take everything with you. It's absolutely legal to do that in Scotland, right? That was not what I was going to talk about, right? That was agenda number 3, right? But I did want to bring that up because there are a lot of people ask me, where can I fly? I'm coming to Scotland for a wee holiday. Where can I fly my drone? Where can I go? What's the law? So that's the website. If you want to go to there, go to that website, which is Nature Scot, Nadar Alba. You can go there and it will tell you everything you need to know about your rights of access. And wild camping is absolutely legal in Scotland. It's not in England, I believe, and I don't think it is in Wales either. But wild camping is legal in Scotland. You can camp anywhere you like, provided it's not in someone's garden. And it's not so close to their garden, their house, that you are going to be impinging on their right to enjoy their house and garden. I know it's still like, what, you can want to private land and pitch up a tent? Aye, in Scotland you can. Anywhere. Private land, public land, okay, and you can walk across it. The other restriction is that if it's a field that has just been sown or has new crops that are growing on it, the guidance is don't walk through the crops but walk around the edges, but you're still allowed to go on it, okay? What about a field or fields that have horses or cows or sheep or pigs in it? Yes, you're allowed to walk across them as well. You can walk right up and pat the animals in the head if you want. You're legally allowed to in Scotland. It's the law. Right. So that was actually item number 3. So before I get to the Ospreys thing, which I want to talk about, I'll have a look at your comments and see if there's any question, right? All right, going back a bit here, Jason says, what issues have you had with the Mini 2 that you think has been caused by the firmware update? I haven't had any issues at all, apart from that hover instead of RTH, and that was my own fault for not looking at it and not checking before I took off. And the other thing, it's not been an issue, is that if you watched my video earlier, Jason, you'll see that the maximum distance had been reduced to 2,000 meters, whereas I like to have mine on unlimited. But once again, if you check, you can change that. So I haven't had any issues. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. It did answer your question. Right. Okay, Peter says, after having been declined DJI Care Refresh, one could always point out the big mistakes in the updates. That will teach them. I suppose you could get into a big argument with them, but you know, they're a big huge big company, and you're not going to win an argument with them. So I wouldn't get it. Isn't most of Scotland the Queen's Garden? Well, you know, most of Scotland is the People's Garden. You know, it's that's why when people say, who owns that land you're on? I say, I own it, it's mine. It's my land, right? So it's not the Queen's, it's mine. And we have the right to, not gardens, you can't go in gardens. That's why sometimes you may be walking through woods or through a field and you'll come to a fence with a gate that says, do not enter garden. In that case, you can't. If it is a garden, then no, you can't enter it. It's one of the places you're not allowed to go, a residence, which is into somebody's house. But here's a wee thing I'll tell you in a minute. You can't go into somebody's house, you can't go into the garden. If you are out and about somewhere and you need the toilet, in Scotland you can knock on anyone's door and they have to let you in to use the toilet. That's a strange one. Imagine you tried that in England. Hello mate, want to use your toilet? But you can in Scotland. No one would ever do it, but you can if you want to. Right. Derek is a lord of 3 square metres of Scotland. Is it a laird? I think you'll find you're a laird, Derek, not a lord. Right. Aye, there you go. It's my garden. My garden. Right. You can't fly your drone here disturbing the ospreys. Right, Doogie? That brings me to agenda point 2, which I skipped by. I don't know how I managed to skip past it. Right, the ospreys. If we go back to the Ranger, if you remember that video, he started spouting off some stuff about you're not allowed to fly within 300 metres of an osprey's nest, right? I knew that to be nonsense, and I've now found the evidence that it is nonsense. There is no law or regulation in Scotland that restricts you from flying and landing in an osprey's nest if you want to, right? None. There is, however, guidance, and you can find the guidance in the same site there. It'll get it. I mean, you just scroll through and you'll find it's got all this different great things in it, right? You can find everything you need about coming to Scotland, where you can go and blah blah blah. Anyway, there is a table about wildlife on this one here. And if I can find it, where is it? Oh no, don't tell me I've lost it. All right, I know where it is. There we go, right? So here's a table of the summary of sensitive periods, disturbing evidence and safe working distance. This is guidance only. And if you look here at the Osprey, right, the breeding season is April to August. Now I was flying in June, so that was during the breeding season, right? And it says here there's little evidence of a significant issue, but this is supposedly under recorded, right? The distance, the guidance is the minimum distance you should keep in latitude. Lateral distance is 500 to 750 metres. If you're within that, you should be no lower than 500 metres. Now, it's talking about aircraft and helicopters there. And although there isn't a table that has included drones, because this is quite old guidance, let's take it this is for drones as well. So we can't fly above 400 metres, 120 metres anyway. So we should not go closer than 500 to 750 metres. He said 300 metres. Now, he's getting mixed up because there, if you look at the red kite, and there is a red kite at the other end of Loch Doon where I was, 7 miles down the loch. Now that, you shouldn't go closer than 300 metres, right? He was saying I couldn't go closer than 300 metres. To the other sense, he was not doing himself a favour, because it's actually, the guidance says, don't go any closer than that. Now, for your information, for everybody else's information, I was seated 1.2 kilometres from the Osprey nest. Now, I'm not going to bring a map up and show you where it is for obvious reasons. Who knows what frauditors or poachers could be watching this, and I'm not going to show you exactly where the nest is. But trust me, I was 1.2 kilometres away from it. That's where I was seated and flying away from it. So I just wanted to bring that up, that there is guidance, and you can find that on the same site. That site there, you can find that if you want to have a look at. Oh, hello. I just think I maybe got a message in my phone that's being used to do this live stream. So there you go. So so he had some slight knowledge of something or other, but he didn't really know what he was talking about. So, and I was well out with the distance, even for an ostrich. The eagle, however, the golden eagle, let me bring it back up. If you look at the golden eagle, you can't be within 1,000 metres. I was still actually outside of that. Even if it was a golden eagle, I was still outside of the golden eagle. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry about that. Right, the golden eagle, there, you should be out with 1,000 metres of it. So I was still, even if it had been a golden eagle, I was still out with the distance of a golden eagle's nest, right? So I'm probably I get comments every day. I get about 20 comments a day on that exact same thing, on that video. Yes, no, you were too close to the osprey's nest. You're killing the ospreys. So there you go. Right, sorry, but my coughing here, my chest is feels like I've got a broken, what's this thing called your sternum? I actually cracked and fractured my sternum about 7, 8, 9 years ago, and it's hurting me now. Anyway, right, Smithy, brilliant. Right, Smithy asks, what are your thoughts on the Avata? That's actually agenda number 5, right? But I'll talk about it now that you've brought it up, Smithy. Right. Okay, let me see, how will I go about this? Right, my thoughts on the Avata are similar to, and I've actually prepared the wee thing, they're similar to what they were when I decided, I was thinking about what, sorry, I'm all over the place here. After I'd had my Mini 2 for a year, and the Air 2S came out, and a lot of people were getting it, upgrading. It's an upgrade now from the Mini 2. This was before the Mini 3 came out. A lot of people were upgrading to the Air 2S. And it is an upgrade from the Mini 2. Although it's an increase in weight, takes you up a category. So you can't fly it in the same places. I'm really sorry about this. But I thought it's a bit crazy to do that, because it does the very, very similar footage. It's cinematic. It's got a 3-way gimbal. stabilised, the footage that you're going to get from the Air 2S is going to be very, very similar to the footage from the Mini 2. It may be a little bit better looking, but in the end it's going to be pretty much the same. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. If I am going to get another drone, it's going to be the FPV drone, because it's a different drone altogether. It has different footage, and that will allow me to mix in some more dynamic footage into my cinematic footage. In that way, I can make my videos better. And I thought, getting the Air 2S, you really wouldn't use the Mini 2 much after that, so you'd be kind of making one of your drones obsolete. Anyway, I'm going a long way around the houses to say that I think, and let me bring this up here, dink. I think that if you have a Mini 2 and you're thinking about upgrading to a Mini 3, you should rein those horses in a little bit and think about getting the Avata, right? Or the actual DJI FPV, right? And the reason I have, let me bring the big full screen up. This is Laddie. Laddie is my DJI FPV drone. He's so fast, it's unbelievable. And he is twice as fast as the Avata, okay? He's not much bigger than the Avata, right? A little bit bigger, but not much. About 3 centimetres that way and that way bigger. So the Avata's maybe 3 centimetres smaller, right? But he's much faster. Laddie, the FPV. It doesn't have the prop protectors that the Avata has, okay, right? But here's the thing. I thought, will I get myself an Avata, right? I did think about it, a bit strange. But the reason I considered it briefly was because if you already have the DJI FPV, then the goggles and the controller, and I also have the motion controller, work with the Avata. So all I would need to do would be to buy the Avata itself. Bum, 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 right? I thought about it briefly, but then I decided not to, because I don't think I'd enjoy flying the Avata so much, because I like Laddie's speed. He is a rocket. I mean, I've actually had him at 107 miles per hour in manual mode. In sports mode, I've had him up at, I think, 67 or something like that. So he's really fast. And I think flying the Avata would be like flying the Mini 2 or the Mini 3 in sports mode. It would, it's not for me. But if you don't have a DJI FPV and you have a Mini 2 and you're thinking about getting a Mini 3, I would say, no, just consider the Avata, right? It's a good thing. And I've read a couple of nice things about the control as well. Apparently, it can be head activated, that you can be flying along and move your head and the camera will move while the aircraft continues to go in the direction that you're flying it, which is really quite good, because it means that you can kind of look all around while you're flying along. Now that you can't do that with the FPV goggle, the goggles that come with this, but you can do it with the new Avata goggles. Now I think that's really, really good. And that's a thing that I'd love, and I hope that they bring that out, or at least make the new goggles compatible with FPV drone, because to be flying along and to be, at the moment, if you want to look that way, you have to actually turn the drone to look. But with the Avata, you can look that way while you're still flying this way. So that is a big selling point. If the Avata was as fast as the FPV drone, I would consider it for that reason only. So I hope that answers your question. Sorry, I forget who asked that question, right? But I hope it was Smithy, right? Smithy. So that's my thoughts on the Avata, and I hope that was of maybe some interest to you. Right, there you go. Jason's one of Scotland. The rights to roam are incredible here. That's why whenever I'm out and about and I say, I'm going to go here, you see me crossing fences and climbing over gates and jumping ditches and basically going anywhere I want. I'm no trespassing or breaking any laws. We're allowed to. You can go anywhere you like, as I have outlined. So and it's different from England. England there's trespassing and you're not allowed on private land and all of this carry on. I mean, is there anywhere you can actually go in England? Never mind to fly your drone, but just to walk, in peace. Right. Okay. Right, John's, listen, not for until this thing's cleared up, John. No, it's no, and I can't see it being for a wee while anyway. Sorry about that, pal. Right, Angel Boostar is up in the Shetland Islands. Had so many tourists stop and ask about the toilet. Did they ask to come in? Can I use your toilet? Because if they use those words, you kind of have to say yes. You can say no, but you're breaking the law if you don't let them in. Bet you didn't know that. You can look it up. It's quite an unusual one. I haven't been to Shetland, but I've been to Outer Hebrides. I've been to Barra and Benbecula and North and South Uist. Well, when I was in the army, I used to go that way. Right. Edward says, I know you're attached to Lassie, but with all you went through, couldn't you just have got the drone only for a couple of hundred and save your controller? I probably could have. Well, the controller was, well, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't have messed up the controller. I could have, but you don't get it, Edward. Another drone wouldn't have been Lassie. That wee drone and I have gone through some serious things together over the past 2 years. So, no, another drone's just not going to cut it, No. And I think most of the subscribers that have been with me in this channel for, a year and a half would feel the same. If I turned up with a Mini 2 and said, oh, Lassie crashed and she's out lying in a bog somewhere, but don't worry, I got this one. I think I'd get a harsh word or two from my loyal subscribers that have been with me from the beginning. So no, I wouldn't do that. Right, I'm not giving it out. I'm not giving out my address because I probably got a load of frauditors chapping at my door want to stick a camera in my face. Right, okay, so how are we doing? What's that? I can only see it at one eye. 20 to 8, right, and I've got a... Oh, hold on a minute, right. Item 4 on the agenda, I don't know what I was looking at. Item 4 on the agenda was about the firmware update 1.7.0. It says here, reset the FPV in the range. I'm assuming that most of you have watched the video that I posted earlier today. It went live at 4 o'clock. If you haven't, I don't normally do firmware update videos, right? Because they bore me to tears, okay? And there are another couple of creators, YouTube creators, who do that, who always do, and I know that you know who I'm talking about. They always do updates. So if you need the update information, and if I need the update information, you can go and look there, and I do too. I go and I look at their update videos and see what there is, just so that I know, oh, there's something there that I think I might quite fancy, and then I can go ahead and do it. But I don't want to be another person that just doing that as well, because you can get too much of a good thing. And also, it would bore me to tears. However, I made one. That was the one that I posted at 4 o'clock, because I thought it was important to make this one because of the recent problems I've had. Here's what I wanted to say. If you watch the video through right to the very end, and I know most people don't do that, but if you watched it right through to the very end, at the very end of the video, I talk a little bit about how good the signal was on the flight that I did during the video. I mean, it was incredible. I didn't go very far. I think the furthest the drone went was about 400 metres away, something like that. I wanted to fly just in the area because it was the first time Lassie had flown with the new RCN1, and since she went down in the blanket bog. So I I wanted to go out and do. I did the firmware update, and I wanted to test it. So I thought I would just do a video on it. So I talk at the very end of the video about how good the signal is, and the signal's fantastic for the whole flight. I don't think it goes down from 5. Is it 5 white bars you get or 4? Can't remember what the maximum number is. I think it's 5 white bars you get. And I think it stayed at 5 white bars for the duration of the flight. And it was a good, I think, maybe 5-6 minute flight. And I thought that was feeling incredible. And I say at the end that I don't know if this is because of the firmware update to 1.7.0 or if it's because of the new RCN1 controller that I have attached to it. And I'm thinking that it might be that, because that other controller that I've had, it's been out in the rain, it's been out in the snow, it's been out in the wind, it's been thrown in and out of a bag, various bags over the past 2 years. It's been battered, I've dropped it, it's been battered about quite a bit. And this new one has never been used. It was brand new. I bought it from eBay second hand, but it was brand new. I'm thinking that that's it. It's a brand new controller. Now here's the thing as well. So if you're having signal problems and you just can't get a strong signal, and nothing, even with the new firmware update, and nothing's happening, and you've had your drone and your controller for since a year past November, it's almost 2 years, it might be worth, if you can source a new controller that's not going to cost the earth, it might be worth getting one. Because it seems that all of the signal problems and signal issues that I had, which weren't really problems or issues, but they were, the signal strength didn't seem to be as good as it was when I first got the drone, are now all fixed. It's gone back to the way it was when I first got Lassie and I first took her out to fly. The signal strength was amazing. So it could be the new controller that's doing it. So that means that when Lassie came down into the blanket bog, I think she knew that the RCN1 was rubbish and wasn't giving her a good signal, and she decided to come down there knowing I'd have to come out and rescue her, and there was a possibility of me losing that. Marty, thanks very much for your sub. Of me losing that old RCN1 in the blanket bog, and that's exactly what happened. Or am I giving her too much credit? But anyway, it's a wee thought for you. Something to consider, especially because I think with postage and packing, that RCN1 cost me, I think it was £68 from eBay. And once again, thanks very much to everyone who gave me super chats. They hit the super chat thing in here, wherever it is. I don't even know how to do it, but there's a super chat thing in here. A lot of people hit that. A lot of people bought me a coffee, buy me a coffee, which is they put litres of fuel in my tank. The members who subscribe on a monthly basis, all of that covered the cost of the RCN1 for me, so thanks very much for that. But if you can source an RCN1, a new remote controller, that's not going to cost you the earth, it might not be a bad idea. You know, it's something you could possibly think about. Okay, right, 1:45. Let me have a look at some of your comments here. Right, okay, Brian is asking, oh, excuse me. Let me scroll up. I've missed a lot of stuff. Right, Brian's asking, can you do some footage with FPV drone? Brian, there is some footage of it. If you go back quite a while back, I do a comparison of the camera. Doogie, thanks very much for the super chat. Appreciate that. Brian, I do a comparison with the Mini 2 camera and the FPV camera, and I'm flying over an unused viaduct. And at the end of the video, I spend 2 minutes just flying FPV in manual mode. I take Laddie. I practiced in the simulator for quite a while, and I took him and I threw him into manual mode, and I did my very first loop-de-loop ever. And then I did a second one where I missed the ground by this much. I mean, I just missed the ground. And that's at the end of the video. You'll have to look back quite a while. It was about a year ago I made that. I'll I keep saying I'll put a link up in the description. I won't. You'll just have to look back and find it. The picture is, I think there's two of me in the screen, maybe, I don't know. But so I have and I'm going to do some more. I'm going to practice again. I haven't been on the simulator for a while, and I haven't flown in manual mode for quite some time. But I am going to get some more practice, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to make some FPV footage, Brian. So I will do that. Right. Jim, goodness me. Can I bring that up the screen here? I think I can. Jim, thanks very much for that super chat. That's unbelievably generous of you. I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. What can I say? You're a superstar, and it's things like that mean I can whack a load into I can put well, these days prices a quarter of a tank. No, I can put about a third of a tank fuel in my tank there, and that'll get me out, and that really helps to cover my costs for making the videos, so that it doesn't cost me anything. So Jim, I absolutely appreciate that. Thanks very much. Right, Albert there saying it's night and day between the Mini 2 and the Air, Robert. Is it? Is it really? Is it? I don't think so. I've seen footage by some fairly experienced drone flyers who have YouTube channels, and I've seen their footage of the Air 2S, and I'll put my footage of my Mini 2 up against it any day of the week. Any day of the week. And I've spoken about this before. It's not just about the quality of the camera on the drone and the size of the sensor. There's a lot more than that goes into creating a good bit of footage. It's seeing something, getting an idea how to film it, getting up there and using smooth settings and filming it in a nice way, and then editing it together and creating a wee story. All of that is much more important than the very slight difference between the camera on the Air 2S and the Mini 2. That's my opinion, but I'll back it up, and I'll say, you show me a bit of Air 2S footage that you think is the dog's bollocks, and I'll produce a bit of Mini 2 footage that is just as good. Okay, I'm putting myself out there. All right. So anyway, Rod, I probably should do. I've actually got a bottle of water down here, so I'll just have a wee drink of that. Aye, it is water. Oh, that's better. Thanks, Rod. Thanks for suggesting that. That's a good one. I'll just leave it sitting there. I don't know what's wrong with tonight. It's hitting me a bit hard. Right. There, Jason. I fly my Mini 3 Pro in the middle of nowhere, category A3. Aye. I fly my DJI FPV Laddie the same places that I fly my Mini 3 and my Mini 2. Now I've got my A2 COC anyway, but I fly in the same places, which is the middle of nowhere, so you can do that. You don't have to worry about it. That's why if you get an Avata or you get a DJI FPV, they're not in the same categories as the Mini 2 or Mini 3. But if you're flying in areas like I fly in or like Jason flies in, you don't have to worry about it. You can fly there, all right? The weight of these, if you're using A3 from 23, well, I don't know. They're talking about extending that in perpetuity and not actually having a limit, and not bringing in the new categorizations at 2023. If you watch Sean on Sean Hickey's channel, Geeks Vanna, he constantly talks about that, and at the moment they've kind of put the category changes and the legacy stuff on hold for the moment, so we don't really know, to be honest with you. Oh, Jason, I can't believe you've said this, right? The motion controller is such a gimmick. Have you actually flown with the motion controller? It's the best fun you'll ever have, right? It's you actually feel like Tom Cruise in Top Gun, or you feel like somebody in the Battle of Britain. You feel like Douglas Bader and his Spitfire. It's fantastic. It's great fun. It's good with the controller, yeah. I'm telling you, the fun that you have with that motion controller, it's fantastic. So, gimmick, aye, okay, it's a gimmick, but it's a great fun gimmick, and you never get tired of it. Right, Say 3 and 2. I'm putting too many of your things out here, right? Smithy says, do you need to buy the DJI controller as it only comes with a motion controller? Yes, you do. And that is a problem. I'll bring it back up on the screen here. I've got it up here. The combo, it's the motion controller and the goggles. So yeah, if you want to use the controller, like the joystick, the console style controller, you'll need to buy it separately. So that's going to take the price right up. Aye. Yeah, it's maybe that makes it a second thought. Aye, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean now, Jason. If you're saying the motion controller is such a gimmick, if it's the only controller you get with it, then aye. Angel Boostar, thanks very much for becoming a member of the channel. Okay, I appreciate that. I'm going to do a little video, a members only video, very, very soon, just to let you know what it's all about, because, you know, there doesn't seem to be a lot happening in the member section. There are some things, but I'll be doing a wee video about that just to let you know the benefits of being a member. And it only costs you about £3 a month. What's that? Less than a cup of coffee or something. And there are benefits to be had. So I'll be doing a video about that soon to let you know. But thanks for becoming a member. And I think I can bring you up on the screen that does that, can I? Yeah. Ta-da! Angel Booster, welcome to Ground Obstacle Avoidance, a new member. Steve from the Drone Seekers International was talking about all of the fancy things that I've got in my live stream last week, and he said how he does this and he's just popping up and that popping up. He's got a tip jar with things falling into it. He says maybe he'll tell me how he does it. Aye, Steve, if you're watching, just message me and I'll explain how I do everything here. I'm happy to share that with you. Right, 6 minutes to go. So I've gone through all of my agenda items. Wait, what's happening here? Have I frozen again? All right, I've gone through all my agenda items, which is pretty good. So I've got a chance to answer a few more wee questions. Right, Jason, you're saying a lot of things here, and it's all really good stuff. I don't like keep bringing the same name up, but you know, it's only 1 kilometre range with very poor video. Right, aye, I will watch theirs. I'm not getting it anyway because I don't need it. Right, I've got Laddie, so I don't need the Avata, and I'm not getting it. Right, okay. Somebody else, what was that? I saw somebody else saying something there. Big Sigh says, hope you're feeling better. Thanks. Sometimes I'm, sometimes I'm not. It's up and down. I don't know from 1 hour to the next how I'm going to feel. One of those things, right? Going back to Angel Boostar saying the folk came and asked if they could use the toilet up in the... First I was at my granny's house and she lets everybody in. Maybe your granny knows the law better than you do and she knew that she had to let them in, right? But that's good that she let them in anyway. Right. Derek says it said it got 9 lives. It's probably got a few more lives than this here because of the where am I going that way? The protectors that you get. A good thing about that one is that if you're flying fairly slowly through obstacles, like, and you bump against a wall or that, it'll just bounce off and continue flying. Whereas this one, if you bounce a wall, you could damage the... I mean, I've scraped him and he's bounced out, but he's kept up in the air, and a few wee scrapes on the propellers. But I've got 3 or 4 sets of spare propellers there. So Graham, thanks very much for the super chat there. I think I can bring you up. I know, can I? Bing. I can. Thanks very much for the super chat there, Graham. I appreciate that. It'll be going in the tank. Help me to get out and about. Right. Oh, Jason, she is sentient. Right, don't say that. Aye, Ian London flew... I don't think he flew into the volcano, did he, Dougie? I think he just flew so close that the heat melted it. Did it actually go in? I didn't watch the video. I watched a video he made after it, and he showed the bottom of the drone that was all melted. So I don't think he got in, or was he flying an older drone into it and getting the footage, saving the footage to his phone? Probably would be. Okay. Right. Richard's asking, Was it putting out a better signal? Where was that? Was it putting out a better signal because the batteries are new? The batteries are new. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know. I'm not a technician in that side of things. I don't know if the battery power or I don't know if they would affect the signal. It's possible. I really don't know. Right. So, Graham, thanks. Yeah, appreciate it. That's what it's diesel I use, and it's going in there, right? Edward's asking, do you sell skins like the one you have on? No, I don't actually. It was one of the subscribers printed that out, that Lassie's Saltire jacket, printed it out for me, not long after I started, and he made it for me. So, and he made the little Lassie. She's got her name on the back of the drone. It says Lassie. He printed all that out for me. So no, but you can pick these skins up anywhere, I think. He flew it in after it melted. All right, so he maybe went back out after it was all melted, and he flew it in. Right, get it. Jim's saying it didn't go in. Right, well, I don't know. Right. He filmed the death plunge of the damage. I'll go back and I'll watch that, because Ian from London's got a great channel. His videos are always dead interesting, right? Okay. Names. Oh yeah, he's talking about the names of my drones. Right, this is Laddie, and my wee Mini 2 is Lassie, and my Mini 3 is Caledonia. So there you go. Oh, and I won't tell you now because I've only got a minute left, but how Lassie got her name. But Lassie's name was given to me by one of the subscribers after I abandoned her the first time, and that's a long story. You can go back and watch the videos about it if you want. I explain it all in very, very early videos. Right, so we've got less than a minute to go now, 50 seconds, so I'm going to wrap things up now because I don't want to run over into Drone Seekers International's time. So thanks very much for everybody that was with me tonight. Thanks very much for everyone who put in the super chats there. Thanks. I can't say I appreciate it enough because I really do. So I'll be making another video or two this week, depending on how I feel, and I'll be on live next Sunday. So thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.